Alright, this is an attempt at improving the audio from last time, and I try to look up an easy way to use my webcam to go live on YouTube on my desktop PC, but it would take me a couple hours to set that up, so I wanted to get started right away instead. Just going to YouTube to check the audio. Testing. Testing. Oh, I'm sorry about the tapping noises. I can see my UV meter on my mixer moving, but I couldn't actually hear myself in the headset. All right. All right, that looks right about centered. So, okay, this just continues off from the last live session, and I put a challenge for myself, and that was to not install a decompression program, a decruncher, a dearchiver at all on the card. I would just download archives from the internet and install them, open the archives on PC and copy the files on PC. And this is to test how well 1.3 works with the FAT file system, so that even if you do get the warnings that you lose properties when you decompress or copy the files to the card, will it still work? Something like that. Or if you're using 1.3, are you stuck with having to run disk images simply? In other words, if you want to install a big piece of software, do you have to download 4 ADF files, start an emulator, mount them, run the installation program in the emulator, and then just simply move the finished card over to the Amiga? Because that's the usual way, right? For most of it anyway. And it would be better if we could just, unzip stuff and drag it over. So all the software in this live session was copied to the card that way. Just download LHA files, unzip them on the PC. You can even open README files and so on in your web browser, and all that good stuff, so that you can really get a good look at what you're installing and how you should install it. So what I did since last time, the first step was to install Magic Workbench for Workbench 1.3. This is the CF card icon that I drew manually, and I have 2 icon editors on the card now that I want to try it out with. So my trouble last time with the icons was that I didn't remember that you had to select the icons whose positions you wanted to save. So what that basically means is you have to shift select each icon like this and then use the snapshot function. So this is what your root folder will likely look like after you just install Workbench 1.3.3 and then install Magic Workbench for Workbench 1.3. There was a big picture here, templates.pic, but it was so huge. I'm not sure I like all these icons in the Magic Workbench pack. So I guess I will be changing those a little bit today, and we'll see how that's done, because if you want, there are dedicated Amiga programs, uh, uh, software that you start that are managers, and they will let you create icons for executables that don't have them, let you create icons for folders and so on. Or you can just manually do it using CLI commands or using Diskmaster or using whatever you want, really. That will let you customize Workbench 1.3, and you can make it just as pretty as you want. So I think there is an upgrade that allows you 8 colors, maybe even 16 colors, but I've read about an 8-color mode, and this will also work with Magic Workbench icons. There are 3 types of icons on Amiga: the old icons, the original icons that you see on the screen, new icons, and glow icons. And a good icon editor can edit and export in all these formats. I tried to get Personal Paint because I was able to find the plugin or script that exports it to either of these 3 icon formats, but I could not get a working version of Personal Paint 6.3. Now Ceylon 2 did have a 6.4, but the link was broken. Generally, there is some stuff there that the links are not working anymore. So, and I'm not sure if Personal Paint 6.4 works on Workbench 1.3. I don't think it's very likely. I think you need version 2.1 or something like that. So last day and a half has been spent in sort of Amiga land, actually sourcing stuff and learning about the Amiga lore. So you can see, for example, I will put some links in the description later to fish disk archives and and so on. And you can pretty much read the content of the over 1,000 fish disks in as one long text file online or HTML page online. With just from the contents, you can get a pretty nice idea of how it developed. So it started very early, earlier than 1.3, with actually a bunch of already mature languages and Unix ports. So because now AmigaOS did not build exactly on Unix, but it did have a lot in common, a lot of shared stuff. So at the start, there was mostly um, command line commands rather than fully fledged Intuition using well-designed UI or GUI software. And most of those don't work with 1.3 either. So I always recommend Workbench 3.1 for using the Amiga because it's compatible with all the Amiga models, and you can it's much easier to source software. You can basically go on Aminet, and the only thing you have to look out for is special 68020 plus versions if you don't have an Amiga with such a CPU or higher. So basically, if you run 3.1, everything works, and all the software is easy to install. They come with installers, and it's only for 1.x that you have to care about these things like icons and so on. And even on 1.3, often the software comes distributed inside folders that have the layout finished with complete with icons. Not for all software, but for most software, and all you have to do is create a folder icon for the folder, because I noticed that the archive, the people, the uploaders had not, sometimes they hadn't included an outer folder, and sometimes they hadn't had included the folder, but forgot to put the icon outside. So one of the signs to know that software works with 1.3 could be it's not, cause and effect, but it could be that the archive contains folder name .info and the folder. Either way, it's a good sign, because then you don't have to end up not finding the folder, because Workbench only shows you the icons. And you have to, copy paste the folder icon from someplace else. So these are the new icons for Magic Workbench 1.3. I did install ppmore. No. What's this? Well, it worked last time I prepared this live recording. So let's just check that out. What you need for this is ppmore, and what you need for Amiga Guide is an Amiga Guide clone that is compatible with Workbench 1.3, because these guide files didn't come until after 2.0, or maybe 2.1 had them, I think. So I sound like I know a lot of stuff, but I just found most of this stuff I just found out from looking for software. So the complete story on these jumbled icons and stuff like that is that you can, if you don't like an icon, you can just replace it, copy paste, rename from a good icon. I hope to be able to redesign this trash can icon, although I want to be, very nostalgic and very legit and authentic and all that stuff. It's a good example of an icon that you might want to. It's a good test for the icon editor software anyway. I like these old style folders actually, so I'm going to keep those for the most part. I don't mind if the C folder looks like that, because it makes it special. This is the old style shell icon. This is a folder with icons for famous programs. Not sure. I think it's simply a case of Magic Workbench 1.3 expecting an interlaced workbench, and the Amiga Workbench was very much ahead of its time, because you can see the evidence. It has followed without modification, essentially. It has followed the evolution of computers to support all the things you'd expect. You'd expect support for graphics cards, support for bigger and bigger hard drives, and stuff like that. So really, just an Amiga 500 with Workbench 3.1 will be a better demo um, of what was already at that time uh, a modern GUI operating system as we know them today. And it had a lot going for it. So I really like it. And I think it held its own for a good many years compared to other operating systems that didn't have, you know, piping like in Linux, didn't have, again, mature language support from the start, uh, that didn't have a GUI that called DOS routines to do their job, that had dedicated libraries, mature libraries with a lot of functions that you would expect from designing intuitive software, all that stuff. So I would say that maybe Windows 98 and probably some Mac OS version uh, a few years before that had something to say uh, against the maturity and the preemptive multitasking and all that good stuff. Uh, but I digress. This is from a comment on my previous video, and we can you can argue about what's the best operating system. Well, the best operating system is the one you like to use for real, the one that does things the way you do, and perhaps the one that you know the best and doesn't throw pop-ups in your face and reminders and you know. So Amiga Workbench is absolutely a peaceful experience compared to just booting your laptop, for example. Today, I think Mac OS X is the king of the desktop, in second place after Linux, perhaps. It's they have different positive qualities that don't overlap. So Linux, go Linux if you care about a continued great desktop experience without the fuzz, where you can do anything you want, and get Mac OS X if you want to probably eventually end up in the Apple monopoly and have to buy all your software and never be able to install third-party software from a website as you used to be able to on desktop. Even more digression, but I'll get on with it. So my files. Let's see what we have here. So you can see the icons are jumbled. The positions of the icons are not what they're supposed to be. Now if you move a single icon 1 pixel, then this cleanup option will not be available in 1.3. 2.0 and later versions got more options up here and was generally easier to work with. Now, these are the new folder icons from Magic Workbench 1.3. I don't mind them. I don't think they look good. I will probably replace them, so that will be a good first exercise. And I will do that before I show you how to clean up this and save the snapshot. So let's go into utilities, and as you can see, it's a mess. Go clean up temporary. This is not saved now. It's just temporary. So I want to find out which folders I want to change. So probably HiSoft Basic. These are also from Magic Workbench 1.3, I think. Um, or maybe I just copy the wrong folder icon when I created the folders to put these programs into. So anyway, let's go with Disk Master here, and go to My Files. So I want to check which icons I wanted to replace, and I can simply do that by doing this. So these are the ones: utils, music, games, demos. I guess I could keep those to make them stand out, although you can't really see what's on them. So music and utils. So what I did was I took the folder icon for empty. It's a generic white folder icon like the one you saw previously. So if you go into empty, you have a bunch of icons here, and I just copy pasted them on PC while I was copying the files from the internet. I do actually have a clipbox. Not sure if I want to spend the time to make it work under 1.3. Maybe it already does. I know it works with the 68,000 CPU, but I'm not one of the guys that, you know, Workbench can take you anywhere you want. You can have, you can customize the hell out of it, and you can add modern conveniences, internet browsers, word processors, all that nice stuff, and have a real tour de force. How the hell do you pronounce that in an American accent and still make make it sound like some strange French thing? Tour de force. Tour de force? I don't know. Anyway, you could make it like a, flagship. You can have multiple 1,000 GB hard drives and SSDs, and you can really build a beautiful Amiga 4000 tower with a graphics card and um, and high and deep resolutions, and make it really modern. You can and play movies and play MP3s and all that good stuff. I'm not one of those guys, so so this live session will not take Workbench 1.3 very far at all, and there's no indication of where you can take the Amiga Workbench at all. Right now I'm just trying to make the few folders I have look good and work in Workbench. So music and utils, so just I'm sticking with this one, Disk Master, because it's the one I know best, and it's from that time and all that stuff. You can make directory opus 4 work in Workbench 1.3, and there's file master and uh, um, dir master and all kinds of these type of programs. So music and rename. And what was that? Utils.info. So the .info files are icon files, and all you do is copy them over. And now if we open my files again, these icons will have changed to look like the Workbench 1.3 ones, which I think they're not super good looking. You can see that they're hand drawn and all that stuff, but they fit in with the rest of the stuff. So I'm going to keep it like that. So now if you move an icon, as I said, you can no longer clean up. So what you can do is you can arrange them the way you like them, or you can close it and open it, my files, and then you can do cleanup, and then you have to select them. So just shift select and snapshot. And now the next time you open the folder, there it is in the order that you snapshotted them in. So if you wanted music at the top left, you could do that. There's also another way, which I will demonstrate later. For now, I'm sure you want to see something more interesting, perhaps. What was I going to show? I'm gonna clean this up as well. So that was HBasic2. That's it. Also want to try eggs-oper and try the speech synthesizer. First of all, not sure you'll be able to pick up the audio through my mic. but we'll know about that soon enough. So HBasic 2, so just that's the good thing about preemptive multitasking and all that good stuff. You can just switch to the window, rename it. I should increase my key repeat, shouldn't I? hbasic2.info. I'm sorry, the cable from the headset is interfering with is laying across the keyboard here. One moment. So copy that. My files, utilities. So now these are decent, and we can do a cleanup. And you could also resize the window, but it already fits all the icons, and it also remembers the position. And the Amiga Workbench sort of, it seems like it creates columns when it tries to fit in the icons like this, so that the file names are centered and aligned under each other. And I'm going to go with this. Unfortunately, that one sticks out. So what you could do is just adjust that slightly, or you could highlight it by creating space around it. And, well, it doesn't really help me, so I'll have to do something like that. If I can drag all of them, I cannot. So I'll have to be careful to find them. So the other way to do this is to just clear the positions that are built into the icons. And you can do that with a command line program. I'll show that later. For now, I want to select all done. I wish there was a commodity, a keyboard shortcut to make this to select all. If you have, I'm sure there's some software that does this. I haven't found it. If you know it, shout it out, and I'll check the live comments later. So that's it. So how about trying that X-Opera thing? Let's see if we can. I had the ppmore thing to solve as well. No idea why that stopped working. But anyway, Magic Workbench make these associations, and you can later, as everything in Amiga Workbench, you can customize the hell out of it, so you can make your own associations to the guide viewer of your choice. And it needs less for the doc type. So the good thing is that all you do is, I hope to show today that all you have to do is download archives from the internet, unzip them on your PC, go through them, drag them over, create one or two icons, and you're done. You don't have to get the original disks of everything, or what you do have to what you have to do is find the versions from the correct era when 1.3 was very, very active and got lots of software. So mostly today only the latest versions that take advantage of 2.0 features like the new preferences and environment and all that stuff, and locale. Mostly only those have survived, so I do recommend 3.1. Then you don't have to set all these things up that I'm doing. So this is basically I feel that I would need the manual for this. I thought this would be a more visual type of thing. But you can see that this is like the task manager in Windows, and you should be able to end processes and tasks and close windows and so on. And this would be a useful demonstration for later. I'd like to quit Q works. Thankfully. So how about setting up less, copying it to so the way you would extend the functionality of Workbench is the same as it's always been. You install a program and you make a file association, and this was already in 1987. So some props for that, for really being ahead of everything at the time and for a few years after that. That's my personal opinion. You may ask, professional developer, professional OS expert, or just someone who has run all of the operating system and are a developer, if you want the technical reasons, more technical reasons. So I know that I had put some viewers, old viewers. Gonna do a cleanup. Gonna do this actually. Make space for one more folder, and then select it. Did I? Yes. Snapshot. Old viewers. So once you do this snapshot thing, then of course you're done with that folder. You never have to do it again. But there's also, if you can write a script, you can just rattle through the whole hard disk and make the icons position themselves automatically. More about that later. So README, so that would be that would need multi-view like all READMEs. So what I wanted to do, did I have disk master open still, or did I exit? I exited. Okay. So because these are commands, they don't have the associated icons necessarily, but all you do is put them in. I do not have less. Do I? Brave. I do have this and I do have this. Didn't I have pp more in here? I did, and pp show, and it, as I said, it did work before. So how about, just gonna check so I don't overwrite anything. I'm gonna go with this, copy that, and I'm gonna rename least to less, hoping that it's 100% compatible. We do not have multi-view, not sure. I do have a compatible AGA guide version that'll let me do some of the stuff. But for now, I wanted to check out, check out Xopper. See if that works. Nope, that was not compatible. So this was one of the infamous things about AmigaOS. If you don't know what you're doing, if you just installing software at random, you will get gurus. And even though you could install, what was it called? Guru something or other. You could install actually a program to handle the gurus for you. And of course, in later operating system versions, it would just show a requester, and that was that. the task would freeze. You would have to free it with some program like xopper. But obviously I would need something like less to open it. So why not check if I have it on my, oops, sorry about that. Check one of my extra disks, accessory disks, I should say. And I should actually do that either in command line or in disk master. Why do I close disk master? I should have it open at all times. Utilities, disk master. All right. I was thinking it would have a less command from the right era, and which is actually called less and is not just an attempt to rename a completely different command with completely different parameters and hope that it works without guruing. So, did not have that. So probably I will not be able to demonstrate xopper. Either way, as I said, well, and I did it again, didn't I? Here we go. What I can do, I think, is use the more command in disk master. Let's see if that's hooked up. If not, we can hook it up, and that will allow us to read the document. So utilities, xopper, xopper doc, read. Yeah, works fine. Actually, this would be the built-in viewer in disk master. I think. I don't think he uses a separate command. So you can start it from CLI, so it's not dependent on Workbench actually. So you can list the task with T, task signals. So what I wanted to find out was how to close a window. You can change the priorities. So if you have a program that hogs resources, you can give it a lower priority. If a program locked a resource and you want to free it, you can do that. You can flush and you can do like a garbage cleanup, I guess. Flush to clean up memory free resources. Close window. That's easy enough. So you type Windows, right, and then close window. Let me double check. Well, I think that will work, and I will not close disk master. Instead, I will demonstrate the say command. So what was needed for this, I can show you the files I needed to install. I think something happened. The lore that I discovered was that there was a money argument or other argument about say's inclusion in later workbenches, and it was not included in 2.3. I think it was. It may have been included in 2.0, but not sure if that worked without copying the same files that I'm going to show you now. So the first one was narrator device. Second one was speak handler. And third one was translator library. You needed all three, right? And they were not included in Workbench 1.3.3. So that explains why the say command wouldn't start at all. So I had to copy these from a set of German Workbench 1.3 disks that I had. That was 1.3 and not 1.3.3. So maybe something happened way before 2.0 even. So that's part of the Amiga Lore. Now let's run my files, utilities, exopper. Let's do that, and then I want to simply open tools. I think it was utilities then. So here's say. What the hell? It's trying to index. I'm going to cancel that. See if it starts anyway. No idea why it wants the disk previously inserted into df0. I was going to end with F18 intercepted, by the way, because I will show you how to bring a pure floppy piece of software into Workbench on a hard disk by using the powerful assign command. And hopefully that will work, but I know that that will not work with all software, especially not games, and they don't exit to Workbench either, so you would want to boot them from a floppy or something like that. Some games are simply not made to be hard disk installable. Some of them did get hard disk installers later on, and then these errors on the part of developers, hard coding the game to only work from floppy were removed and to make use of the normal relative file system. So anyway, again, gonna do a cleanup if I can. Utilities, cleanup. Does that look good enough? I guess so. So select all icons. The bonus from this is just by showing you how it's done. I'll get my folders nice and cleaned up. Snapshot, and now we should be able to run say at least. Don't know what resource it needed from the floppy disk, but well, it's messing with me today, I gotta say. This also worked yesterday, and I haven't really changed anything in the hard disk setup. So how about reboot without anything in the floppy drive, and have a think why. It could be a conflicting assign name. That causes this. So utilities, say, that worked fine. So now I did not start exopper. I hope I can start it after and still be able to close the program, because one of the quirks of this version of the say software is that there is no close button. Unless Q works here as well. How about that? Nope. Don't know if you heard anything, but
this is the Amiga speaking.
I'll have to check comments if you heard anything there. All right. So anyway, also part of the lore is that AMOS Pro 1.0 has a version of these files that I showed you just now that results in higher quality speech. So you can configure it, make it talk like a helium voice and all that childish stuff, but I'll leave that to you. You can also, I guess, use an emulator, use the speech synth, record that in something like Audacity, convert the sample, uh, and use it in a song. You can do whatever you want. So that's it. I want to start Exopper again and list windows. So we got the input window and the phoneme window. So it did give us a warning that shutting down windows just like that might not be entirely stable. So did I get? I'm gonna have to type the windows again because it's gonna have an ID, right? So I'm gonna close 5 and close 6 if necessary. So close 5, close window 5, close window 5. So close window. Okay, I gotta use the title. Close. Again, the cable is interfering with my typing. I'm gonna close the, I think, input window first. Window not found, alright. Well, that was the previous message. Did not. Phoneme window. Maybe what's it called? Oh, okay. Close window, phoneme window. Window not found. No, that was a previous error message as well. And it did not succeed in closing the window. Do I need quotes? No, so the title was correct, but it did not succeed in closing the window. All right. Well, it was worth a shot. Gonna have to leave it in the background then, unless we can go -q, -x. Oops. Oh, so that's how you did it. So it's well, it was an interesting experiment. Maybe I can find some use for it, but it's like a task manager. So that's Xopper. I'm sure it works with other windows or other things. Could be useful in a pinch. So AIBB65, this is the Amiga Intuition-based benchmarks. Again, some of the software didn't start getting developed until long after 1.3. So, and also you have to dig a bit to find the latest version that works on a certain Kickstart and so on. So likely this does not work, and that would be for some of these. I took the executable icon and made it the folder icon, and then it won't work. It will just blink like there. So the same procedure as last time. I'm going to do this for I guess FBlit, imploder, and this one. So didn't yeah, rebooted, right? So again, just grab some folder icons, any folder icons, and just rename them. And you could probably do it like this: AIBB65 imploder and FBlit. And this is, this is just penance for my previous sins, and it has nothing to do with Amiga really, just me trying some stuff and finding stuff out. So there's our icons, standard white folder icons. Copy that, and now we can try to clean up, and there you go. Try this. Please wait. Unable to read preferences. This would probably have to do with the new prefs in 2.0 or later, which had a lot more options, supported languages, and all sorts of. You could create your own resolution for your any monitor you wanted. You could basically drive any CRT monitor in any resolution and hertz you wanted. Very powerful. Just like Linux today, when you create one of those, what are they called? Something lines. So it needs request a library, is a request. I have request a library actually. So this might be and that's just for when you open files. It wants to show you a nice, nicely styled and powerful requester where you can filter by file extension and all that stuff. I have not used this program before in my life, so I'm going to, is there a, let's do a sort test. So this would be probably a more fine-grained benchmark than sysinfo. And you have some models to compare with. It does show sort of the same performance as sysinfo, namely about 3/4 of the way up to a stock Amiga 3000, which is fairly impressive, I think. So the line test would be using Intuition and Graphics Library to draw the lines, so it would not be an indication of the blitter line draw speed, I don't think. I might be wrong completely. I hope YouTube can encode this. So it's actually faster than Amiga 3000 at drawing lines. Almost twice as fast. So that's interesting. So here's a beach ball. We can also run the flops test, which I presume is a test of the math libraries or the FPU if you have one. And the ACA 500 Plus doesn't have one, and I don't think there's a way you can have an FPU in the machine at the same time as the expansion. So I did not know that Amiga Intuition-based benchmarks had what I presume is a built-in simple ray tracer. If that's the case, I'm very much impressed. And especially I'm impressed that it handled the absence of a requester library and still was able to run the test. So I wasn't sure it was going to work, but that's a sign of a competent developer. And I think it's using 16 colors, right? So uh, by which I mean to say that if it had used hold and modify mode, it might have looked less grainy, nothing else. So this is what um, 1.3 menus look like if you customize them under 1.3. So, and you can have pictures in them, you can have anything you want. So very mature right from the start, I think. So that's Amiga Intuition based benchmarks. Check my comments. So text editors, I have specifically chosen only free software. It's bad enough that I have this Diskmaster version here. I do not own the original. I could have used any of the clones that are free, um, but well, that's where it is. I didn't want to exacerbate things. Um, so text editors, there are, I have discovered from um, exploring last day that there are quite a few that are competent. Um, probably a dozen will do the trick, and a handful at least are, you know, good enough to code with, that sort of thing. You can have search replace, maybe you can bind macros, all that good stuff that is in CygnusEd and the top text editors. On the ACA 500 Plus, you don't have to worry about performance. Some editors were medium competent. For example, I've heard good things about the DevPack editor, presumably later versions then, because the one I tried back in the day was quite limited and it used a normal uh, uh, bordered window and was extremely cumbersome and slow to work with. That's just from memory now. So the DevPack editor can be used for normal text editing like most code editors. I'm sure you knew all this. So no icon position. This is a command line utility to, as I said, if you script it, you can do it manually to test it out. And what you do is you'd put this in your C folder, go to the folder where you have your icons that are jumbled, and you'd type no icon pos space and the name of the icon without the .info ending. And it will remove the position that is built into the icon, um, and and then when that happens for all the icons in a folder, every time you open it, the Amiga will automatically place them in columns like I explained before, and you will never ever again have to rearrange or clean up or do anything like that. That's enough of that for icons at the moment. we do have Hippo Player here, and I'm going to install that, and I'm going to install it the same way that I've installed everything else, and the way that you really want it to work is to just, unzip a zip file basically. On operating systems like Windows and basically all the operating systems that came after a certain period of time had some sort of registry of sorts to uh, register file extensions, put in paths. If you recognize this from the DOS era, you could, and Amiga DOS era, you could have a path which would, when you typed, which would make a command work from any folder, uh, uh, and you could have a path that it searched in for those commands and things like that. So, but before that, software installation was just this, unzipping a zip file to a folder, and you'd create a shortcut or whatever, or click your way into the folder and start the program. That was it. So X icon will allow you to create shortcuts on Amiga, followed up by icon X and icon J and all manner of variants that give further enhancements so that you wouldn't have to click yourself into the folder to start the program. That's site info. Now let's install the Hippo player and Hippo support. So if it has an install, I'm going to run that. I'm going to read this. Copy hip and hip info to wherever you keep your tools. And we have a rec tools library, which I will use, and that would have removed the nag or requester or pop up in Amiga Intuition based benchmark just now, if you remember. And this will play a lot of stuff. I actually did put a play mod command in C, but you would have to use icon X or something similar to allow you to drag and drop the module onto the mod player icon to not have to write a command line to start it. So that's what you do to install it. Hip and hip info. And I'm actually going to put that in C to start with. I guess I should put in tools, but I'm not sure if that's in path. And if you hear somebody complain about how unintuitive all this is, well, it doesn't look very intuitive when you install software in the first place. And you are watching somebody finding things out and trying things out. So hip and hip info to wherever I keep my tools. Let's hope that's it. The PS3M and the other one, this one went into S, and possibly the other one too. Gonna double check. Yeah, rec tools is required, so we go to the Hippo support. Request, so it would be in libs, wouldn't it? I'm actually going, I'm betting it's gonna need all those libraries, so I'm gonna copy all of those. That way I can play all the music formats available for the Amiga. There were a ton of music editors and the Amiga had great capabilities when it came to sound. Again, mature and out of the box. It did take a couple of years to get to the glorious sampled synth instrument mayhem that we all enjoyed from 87, 88 and onwards. But I mean, it takes a couple of years for developers to discover the great capabilities and to great software that takes advantage of them. So the only thing I would need, I think it was incorrect to put the hip thing in C because hip support parent player, because I think that obviously goes into tools. So again, the cable is interfering. I'm going to clean up these files in here. Hang on. Hip, 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 hip. Hooray. Delete. And probably I would put that in there as well. So what else do we need? So basically now we could launch this and use the request to library. Beautiful. This is much better than, for example, Windows, where you had to restart the computer all the time, and there might be some, even on modern systems, there might be some reference into these registry type shared repositories, forcing you to have to log out and log in again to run a new program. So do I have any modules? There should be some example modules in the Hippo player, right? So my files. Oops. Actually, I should give it a good go by going into my files, music. There we go. So that was easy as hell, I think, and very intuitive to me. And now obviously I can leave this in the background playing while doing other stuff. So what's next then? We did try say. We have a simple notepad, but I'm guessing that is not so interesting. There were a bunch of upgraded clock versions. Let me know if you can still hear what I'm saying over the music. Should be able to. Yeah, I'm sorry about the flickers, guys. It's just the easiest way to. It has nothing to do with the excellent 1084S monitor. It has nothing to do with the excellent Nexus 6P that I'm using to live record this. And it has everything to do with the capture chip in the mobile phone being unable to, it's not 50 hertz, so it will just never sync with 50 hertz. That's just the nature of the beast. I tried to set up a webcam. I don't think that does sync to 50 hertz either, so you'd get flicker with that as well. If I do a follow-up episode, I will probably do it on the emulator, where I can use my proper boom mic and all that good stuff, and screen recorder with perfect crisp pixels and 4040p resolution and all that good stuff. But I wanted to do it this way. I guess that's the simplest explanation. uh, because, well, I wanted to use the ACA 500 Plus, and you can't really plug that into the emulator. Plus, the whole point of this, I'm actually gonna just leave that running and lower the volume. All right. The whole point of this was that none of this software could come from, ADF files or disk images. None of the software should require an emulator to install it. So the whole point of this exercise was to see if I do it the wrong way, if I do it the non-recommended way, namely not get the installed disks and install them from disk to hard disk as you're supposed to, uh, would I be able to do it completely without the use of an emulator or another Amiga to copy it from, or some? Could I do it with just plugging in the ACA 500 Plus, plug in a blank PC formatted CF card, just unzip files to the card and get everything running? So for some of the programs, it's just the case that the only correct version that I can use are on disk images, and then I will have to go into the emulator anyway, and then I can just as well uh, use the emulator. But who wants to show a generic Workbench 1.3 installation? I wanted to do it on the ACA 500 Plus to make sure that if file properties got lost, everything would still work. As you know, the PC file system does not have the exact same properties as the Amiga file system. Would that be a problem? How will Workbench 1.3 perform on the ACA 500 Plus? Those are the things that I would not find out if I recorded from emulator. It would just be another Workbench 1.3 install. So the music is playing. What else can we run here? We have some demos. I did find two versions of Juggler. Wasn't sure which one would work. Probably both work. For safety's sake, I copied both. Um, one is from the fish disks. One is from Aminet, I think. So clean up. We could actually run this first, and that might play sound. Let's see how Hippo Player. Sorry, I'll leave the song playing here and run this demo. Okay, it needs X icon, so I won't be able to do that. This was a ray tracing animation from a competition held in '87, I think. So I wanted to run that, but presumably. Okay, so what's going on here? Are those folder? Maybe these are just fold. These are probably um, executable file icons that I copied to make folder icons, and as I said, I found out that that doesn't work. It's just simply the case that a folder icon is a folder icon and a program icon is a program icon. So I can fix this and probably run all the demos there. Parent, utilities, that's not it, right? I'm gonna go parent, demos. So we put that in empty. So just, yeah, that was it. I'm gonna have to create icons for all of these, so just delete those, and we're gonna make this a speech toy, which I want to try, which is sort of using the speech synth. It's a tool developed by Dave Haney very early on. So let's make 6 folders, right? Rename. And again with a cable. Berserk. juggler. Juggler copy. Kaleidoscope, which I will use to demonstrate the assign bit, which is very early indeed, I think, from 1.1. And speech toy. So those are the ones. And I closed Disk Master. Damn it. It's just, you know, it's a habit. So load the new icons, please. And clean up. So here we go. Berserk. And it still needs X icon. Now we should be able to read the README, right? So okay, it needs to be started. It needs the show anim command. All right. So the show anim command. Okay, so this particular one was not made for Workbench. So, or was it? It mentioned Workbench. For the community, set up copy. Xi. Okay. So it's really made for the command line, and as I explained before, he set up a copy of Xicon that will load off the floppy disk that this demo was taken from and just rudely inserted on the hard disk. So I won't be able to run it from Workbench without the Xicon. It was originally made to be started from the command line by using show anim, the show anim command, which was also included on the disk, as we can see here. Explore this, my files, demos, and Berserk does not have the show anim. Do I have it in C? This was a common command, and if you followed the, you know, the disk subscriptions of the time, you'd have all these commands. If you had a hard disk, you'd have, after a while, you'd have, so icon X is not X icon. It's a same thing, but different versions. Probably if I knew how to use icon X, I could whip up a working icon for the demo, but I don't know how to use it, so that'll have to wait. Did I have show anim? I'm pretty sure I have it on my main card, but I do not want to turn to the PC and copy files right now. So the question is, will it be on the juggler disk? Nope. Will it be on kaleidoscope disk? Nope. Alright, so I'll have to let go of that, unless juggler requires show anim as well. I'm gonna let this one go. Check it out, Berserk. It competed in an early animation competition. And Juggler Gurus. I wonder if that is because it really needs the audio device and Hippo Player is hogging it right now. I wonder. It should work. It should work. I do not have the Guru info or Guru something or other that will let me. Well, I can still keep using the operating system, of course, and just put this in the background. But if I want to run Juggler, I will have to reboot probably and free the audio device. So Juggler was perhaps not as actually I could just close down Hippo Player and launch another task with Juggler. So this was one, yeah, that was it. I was right. Trust the developer to be right about everything. So there you go. That's Juggler, and and it does use sound. And Juggler did not respect another program using the audio device at the moment, or it would have just handled it and said it couldn't be started because another program was using it. There was, of course, not enough CPU power in the Amiga 500 to do any sort of software mixing and stuff like that. So it just expected it to be there, and when it wasn't, it didn't handle it. So will I be able to exit this? Yes. So that you can start full screen applications and exit back to where you were. And we currently have we had two juggler tasks running. Now we have one juggler task running, but we don't care. We can go on with our work here. So basically I don't need this. We could try speech toy, and it doesn't have any icons, and I know this because this particular tool was early, so that you need to start it from the command line. Oops. And it comes with the source as well. So let's launch it and see. So here we got a face, very tiny face. Can I resize this? Doesn't look like I.
This is Amiga speaking.
Well, that does the same as the say command. So I'm gonna max the sample frequency.
This is Amiga speaking.
So that's just increase the pitch. Speak faster.
This is Amiga speaking.
So it's an interface to the say command and its parameters. It's the best way to describe it. You can change the gender from male to female.
This is Amiga speaking.
Not too convinced by that. Might be the rate and frequency
This is Amiga speaking.
that I messed that up with.
This is Amiga speaking.
Here's the helium voice in full effect.
This is Amiga speaking.
So anyway, good times. Translate, what's that? I suppose you need some extra languages for that? Not sure. Does it have a menu? Doesn't have. So, yeah, I was wrong about the credits. I should show credits for all the software I use. But I do seem to remember Dave Haney being mentioned together with this. So,
This is Amiga speaking.
not sure.
This is Amiga speaking.
Not sure it animates. I was hoping for a bigger face, to be honest. So I only read about this from the lore, as I said, when I was scanning through the fish disks. For the Workbench 1.3, to get versions that work right away and were from the correct era and so on, and with low enough requirements for the enhancements that came to Amiga Workbench in the following years, then disks 80 to 120, somewhere around there is the time when it all happened in the United States and Europe for Workbench 1.3. Probably the earlier disks should work as well, but what you would get is, text adventures and command line shell commands, um, language ports, all sorts of life programs, if you know those. You could run life in a window and it would show the classic algorithm. But it quickly worked itself up from the usual demonstrations beyond Juggler to both demo scene demos and public domain demos that really knocked your socks off. The Juggler could knock your socks off in 1986 or 1985, perhaps not so much in 1989. It had been surpassed. So while I was in shell there, I could try the assign. So kaleidoscope, as I showed in Diskmaster before. Oh, here we have something interesting. It's the screen from this held task from the juggler that didn't work. So it got to opening the screen, then it checked for audio device to play sound, and then it froze. But it doesn't really matter. The task is still running. We can keep it frozen in the background and go on with our work here. So CDMI files, demos, kaleidoscope, and you have two commands that you can run from the command line. Not sure if it will, I think it will need the disk in drive df0. So what you would do is insert that disk, if I have it here, the original kaleidoscope disk from my Amiga 1000 once upon a time. And I think that may be again a conflicting 1.3 had this issue that was resolved in 2.0, I think, that if you copy something from a floppy to another floppy or to a hard disk and you have conflicting assigns pointing to two places, the Amiga gets confused. So we should still be able to go on with things here. And assign electronic arts : sys my files demos kaleidoscope. So this show up in the list now. So these are all the assigns that the Amiga knows right now. And as I mentioned, AmigaOS, as I like to call it, AmigaOS, as it's later been known as, AmigaOS was ahead of its time. You could mount anything and you could pipe anything to it and from it. This allowed you to do some crazy command line magic from the start, and you could, for example, I guess you could pipe speech out from, the say command to the serial port and use and sample that on a PC. I don't know. Just crazy stuff. Anything you wanted. You could mount virtual drives, all that stuff that we think is newer, but was already there from the start. So it's assigned. It looks all right. So I'm gonna try polyscope first of all, and let's see what that does. Right now it just shows a black screen. Okay, I had to press space. Next sequence, press return. Okay, there's some manual input here, and you can save your work. So use F1 to F10 to start sequences, or you can just run through them. All right. I think that was a problem from before. Let's try it with a clean assign. So this was one of the ways that you would make software that really wasn't made for putting on a hard disk to make it hard disk installable when the developer hadn't. So this is all experimental. Assign electronic arts : sys my files demos kaleidoscope. One of the good things that Linux has that Amiga doesn't is Amiga doesn't have case sensitivity. It's a pain in the ass, in my personal opinion. Is you just have to check the camel casing of every damn folder that you're trying to finagle your way into. It's a pain in the butt. Now we can should be able to do that. Okay, I have to put quotes. And the Amiga could handle spaces and file names just fine. Polyscope. Oh, we got graphics corruption. I think it was definitely made for running off. Nope. So it's just a matter of that particular demo being basically hard-coded for floppy. So I could try the other command, but if one of them didn't work, then I don't think the other one does either. It's just the nature of the beast. If you see a corrupted graphic screen, there were some expectations that the developer made upon the environment in which it should be run, and therefore you have to basically remove those hard-coded references. So what else did I want to show here? We should get Amiga Guide going. If it doesn't already, it does not. It wants multi-view, but I think if we install something, this should work though. Yeah. I think if we install, sorry, I'm going to check out this. So for these enablers, these drivers, you could call them, then usually you would put some files in devs, libs, and L. Those are the usual suspects, and then you would put any executable any way you want it, really. Some would want them in C or somewhere in some folder that is in the system path. So it says to put them in utilities for compatibilities with the way that it's simply the case that readmes there were several competing tools that could create readmes using the guide format that, again, the Amiga was so far ahead of its time in creating. So basically you could create hyperlinks and it reads pretty much like an HTML document that you could order properly and categorize, make chapters and headlines and links and all kinds of good stuff. And there were several editors, and they're just warning you that some may have used tools that make certain expectations. So if you want, you can put Amiga Guide in your utilities folder. So I'm going to go into the v34 directory and see if there's an installer, and there is. So just run that and it should do all the work for us. And this was, of course, how all the hard disk installers worked later on. So well, not quite like this. In 2.0 and later, they got a lot more stylish and look exactly like the normal installation guides on Windows and so on. So that should be the install completed. And now we should be able to just open this. No, because the reference is there. So some manual intervention needed to make this Workbench 2.0 tool work on a workbench that didn't have the guide format at all. So there is a README here. That's the one I read, I think. So I could, double check that I put all the stuff in the right place, but I didn't get an error message. So presumably I'll have to just add a tool type to point all the Amiga Guide documents to this Amiga Guide viewer. So let's check out text editors then. Made by French guy, I think. And it does have a manual, so if I get stuck, I can check that out. Could open the manual. We can open the README first. That's always respectful. Developers spend a lot of time writing manuals and READMEs, so RTFM. So it's made by Jean-Michel Forgeat. Don't know if that's correctly pronounced. So the manual is split up into sections. So this is what your text document looks like. It's supposed to support up to 15 documents open at the same time. So let's open another one. And let's try to create a new one. And then you'd have some window menu here, perhaps. Can I iconify it? That's interesting. Insert hex. Gotta try that. All right, so that's a way of inserting, uh, binary ASCII ANSI codes, like tabs and new lines and strange foreign characters that you don't have on your keyboard in a pinch, or maybe you just want to check out what ASCII value a character has. So I could insert 41, 42, 43, 44 to get ABCD. Stuff like that. Not what you look for in a text editor, I suppose, primarily. You can clone line. Can you cut a line? Some of the things I like is just standing on a line, anywhere on a line, pressing Control X, Amiga X I mean, and that didn't work, and it cuts the line. That's what the ASM2 editor does. Just a neat feature. It's just a remap from Control D. So can we remap these to Control? That would be interesting. These follow the standard Amiga guidelines, which say that you use Amiga K and so on instead of Control K. Used to be the same on Mac, but sometimes you want, if you've used enough modern computers, you really want the binds on Control. You can do all this with set key if the program doesn't have its own binds menu. You can load a binary file. That's interesting. Not going to try that, I think. So what we got, and from the start, the Amiga had the corresponding commands for copy and cut, and so on. This one does not have Amiga V. Some other programs didn't either. But as I said, you can bind it however you want. So what I would like to do is, some of these had the anchor way of selecting text. One thing I want to try that works in ASM2 is selecting text by dragging with the mouse. And then you'd Amiga X that and paste it down here. So that all seems nice and modern. Join lines. Removes the new line, presumably. Yeah. So does it have word wrap? Can find out by typing. Doesn't seem to have word wrap yet. Some of them had that you could mark text and shape it properly. Does not seem to have that. Am I blind? So find and replace. It's called exchange here, but it's the same thing. And you can toggle case sensitivity. And I can see my cable has tilted the camera. I didn't mean to do that, sorry. So I'm gonna check some comments. The only ones commenting seem to be haters, so Can't do anything about that. I'll try to show them something more interesting, perhaps. So anyway, not too many functions. Does seem to do the job if you want a text editor. Would not compare to CygnusEd, I would think, but most of you know. Quit anyway. So that's AZ text editor, an early text editor for Workbench 1.3. What else do we have here? We have Icon Master recommended by Tim Kovac. Thanks a lot. I did find an icon converter as well, so that you can use the paint program of choice and then convert it to an icon. Not sure how to use this. Presumably, well, okay. Well, I didn't install it, did I? So user error, and that will possibly have a lock on Icon Master, but presumably the installer will let me put it in. What did it need? Installer. So this again may be that the version is for a later version of Workbench. So let's reboot. Again, I could keep it open and save all my stuff, so it's not a big deal. Just doing it to because it's faster to reboot than closing the windows, basically. And again, my files utilities. So if you think this is not an impressive demonstration, I fully agree. This is just me trying to see what software I can get running on my own personal 1.3 card. So hopefully somebody will have run into some of the problems that you will see demonstrated by my utter incompetence. And then that will help them. I have been flapping my gums for over an hour, I think, so might be a good idea to end the live show, make another live show, or a recording from an emulator to give you a better picture quality. But for now, I'm just exploring. Icon Master, yeah. So this did not work. So presumably this requires AREX. In other words, the installer is a normal install script, and AREX again is not available for Workbench 1.3. A powerful script language, the script language built into Workbench 1.3 is powerful, but that was just the way things went. Everything used AREX, it was powerful, it did all you wanted, and everybody used it. So wanted to check again. This is software test under 1.3. From a very late development from ProTracker 2.3D to make it more compatible with super fast Amigas, so that you could use this old version. This old version is preferred by musicians because it plays all the modules throughout history faithfully. Later versions arrived, tons of versions, just tons of versions of ProTracker and all kinds of trackers on Amiga. And those who like to make songs called track tracked songs called modules for that can be replayed on all Amigas from Amiga 1000 and up. They want to use this program, and it had some small nags that got fixed in this, and now I want to bring it to work on really fast, modern, upgraded Amigas. And now I want to go full circle by seeing if it's kept its backward compatibility. So again, just a software test for myself. So I didn't have an icon for that, so launch Diskmaster. And take some icon from another folder. Let's see, utilities, PT2, presumably. I'm going to use that icon. So copy that. Rename. And of course, if you bought commercial software, it would come with installation disks, and you would have all the icons you wanted. So just a test. To what happens if you bypass all that and just unzip files quickly on the PC. And so I got a folder icon. Hang on. So well, for now I'll run it from the shell. Actually, it's a good exercise. What if you download any type of program that can be launched either from the command line or the Workbench, and you absolutely do not have an icon? What happens then? Well, you start icon ed, or you start Deluxe Paint, and you create the icon and you put it in the folder. So that's easy enough. So let's do that. So just to clear it, I want to make a musical note, I guess. It is not the best icon editor. I was hoping to show you Icon Master. I do have another copy of Icon Master because I expected it to not work. So it's all good. I might try it. Should I try it? Yeah. So where did I put it? Put it in the same folder, right? So name this. Might be just the installed script that didn't work, and all we have to do is drag this stuff over. All we need is a library. Do we have it already? We do not. So actually it could work just by doing that. Did we rename this? Rename it back. And nope. So let's put that back there and use and go back and so what I'm doing is pulling the rug from under the operating system. That's fine because it has no magical ties beyond the files and file names. There are no hidden connections that make stuff stop working if you do know what you're doing. So if this doesn't work either, then we'll have to use, yeah. So that's, I got the wrong version to start with. And we're up and running in the icon master. So we are going to, I'm going to load one icon here from somewhere. We can look in tools. So the Hippo Player huge one wasn't so pretty, I don't think. So I'm just going to create a new one then. Again, this is me using a program for the very first time, so how do I create a new surface load icon image editor? I want to create a new one. It does actually allow loading a brush as image, which presumably is a deluxe paint brush, which is very interesting. So for now, I think to be able to run ProTracker, I'll just copy the file for now for that specific program. So I'm just going to copy any icon, my files, utilities, disk master. This is the icon I drew in icon ed, so I can copy that over. Parent pt23e, copy that and rename. And that should let us launch the tracker. Works fine. Should be able, still be able to use Amiga B. I'm sorry, Amiga M and N. This was not expected. Let's see if we can get back to it. Yep. So now this screen is completely custom and not part of AmigaOS. Hence the, well, a developer can do anything they want. So their choice, they opened an Intuition screen and used their own gadgets and buttons and stuff to create this interface look. And the way that works is, the way they have made it work is by using Amiga M and Amiga N instead of a resizable window, which is good because again, STOO is an assign. You can assign it to anywhere. I'm going to use, I'm going to hope that I can fit a long path name in here. Syscall my files, utilities, PT 2.3D. Sorry, E modules. No idea. Hot butter should be a popcorn remix. Something similar. So anyway, doesn't seem to work. I was looking for the DMA weight thing and was happy to find it removed, so that the tracker now uses a much more system, well, the previous weight method for replaying modules. This is a hardware technical question. You used because you didn't want to hog resources and use a high level interrupt to play the samples in multiple channels, you used a DMA weight, and that weight number would be higher if you had a fast Amiga, lower if you had a slow Amiga. And that was a way to make it work, and mod players such as Hippo Player that I demonstrated earlier did get this fixed, but this old version of ProTracker did not get it fixed until this ProTracker 2.3e version. So by all means use this version. If you like this version, prefer this version on all Amigas, no matter how fast and upgraded they are. So anyway, and it works back all the way back to Workbench 1.3, which was the real test. Keeping compatibility is good. Which means if you buy an Amiga 500 with just the floppy drive, you could put this tracker on the floppy drive and it would work just as fine without any expansions in your sidecar slot or anything like that. Just explaining the point of backward compatibility. If somebody, most of the new games that comes out nowadays for Amiga are not backward compatible and have higher system requirements, and that simply means that somebody who falls in love with Amiga again and just buys an A500 off eBay, they can't just insert disk and play. They have to find out a bunch of stuff, install upgrades that cost much more than the Amiga 500, and so on, just to play a game that, well, most of the new games look like the games back in the day, but they were programmed in high-level languages and so have higher hardware requirements. And that's a shame. It would be good with more software with very low requirements that work on all Amigas, including games, as we used to know them. Really competitive, 50 frames per second, smooth scrolling, high-performing games, all that good stuff. So, did get Icon Master to work. We'll explore that later. Did not get Amiga Guide to work. We'll have to look up how to point the guide format to this fake implementation. It's not a fake implementation, it's an implementation of the guide format in 1.3 that didn't have it. So what else do we have here? That's it. We tried the speech toy. Amiga demo. Again, this is a command line utility from the early days. Again, this is from my Amiga Lore exploration thingy. Oops. And let's see how that fares. Okay. I hope something more happens, or it wasn't really a very impressive Amiga demo. Looks like, to be honest, it looked like a routine running rogue through memory there. And I don't seem to be able to exit it or drag the screen down. Oh well, I'll have to look up how to run that on Amiga 500. That didn't seem to be compatible at all. And this happens when developers uh, rely too much on their current development machine and make it work for that, and maybe don't know enough to make it compatible. I mean, you have to know enough to be a developer, so. So here's something. Again, all these icons would be actually the program icons made into folder icons and will probably not work. This one might. Oh, interlace. Interesting. Adventure Mini Dash by Archie, graphics pixeled by Fix. Hey pa! Welcome to Archie's Mini Dash. Choose editor or file. So this is a public domain type game. You can open a level, I presume, and don't have that path. I should have be able to point it to. And I do not remember that long path name, that's for sure. So, tell you what, didn't look too promising. Gonna give this a miss for now. No offense, I was hoping for a more C64 style Boulder Dash thingy. So yeah, how about trying a more well-known and high-performing game, just to try the performance of the ACA 500 Plus. And this will be the last demo, I think. I don't think I have that much more to show with regards to folders, icons, and making stuff work. Was easy enough to get requested library working, and the Hippo player install worked beautifully and played all the songs, presumably. So this one I know is hard-coded to load from floppy, so I'll insert my original F18 interceptor disk. And what'll happen is, well, what that means, because this game is hard-coded to read from the floppy drive, you'll have to crack it or modify it or hack it to make it hard disk installable. I'm sure there is a F18 interceptor hard disk install available somewhere. For now, though, I will launch it from the hard disk. We'll load some files very fast and load a few remaining ones from the floppy drive. So this is the glorious demo from F18 Interceptor, and I'm gonna leave you with this and fade it out when it loops. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.